So we're going to go ahead with part 2. We were talking about therapeutic diets, and we had gotten down to a high roughage, high fiber, high residue diet. That's to maximize bulk in the stool, to help to decrease constipation. A low residue diet is to minimize intestinal activity. We use a low residue diet for people with temporary GI elimination problems, lower bowel surgery, to minimize intestinal activity. High protein diets, we use those to raise albumin levels. A person who's had burns, infections, injuries, we would use those. For hypothyroidism, we would put the person on a high protein diet. A renal diet, for a person who's on has renal failure or has decreased renal function, to keep sodium, potassium, and protein low. Chronic renal failure or acute renal failure, they wouldn't be allowed to have beans, cereals, or citrus fruits. And then low phenylalanine diets would prevent brain damage from an imbalance of amino acids. So let's talk more about these therapeutic diets. So first off, a clear liquid diet. That's a diet that only has clear liquids or foods that turn into clear liquids at room temperature. That could be things like broth, tea, cranberry juice, jellos, apple juice, popsicles, anything that's clear. Clear liquid diet might be for a medical test, procedure, surgery, prep before a procedure. If the person had stomach or intestine issues, if they have diarrhea, they've been vomiting, they might be on clear liquids. Those are some reasons that they might be on clear liquids. Remember that milks are not allowed on clear liquids, nothing that you can't see through. Any fruit juices with pulp would not be allowed. Any unfiltered juices, like you can have apple juice but not apple cider. No milk, no creams. They can have water. They can have bouillon, fruit juice, but it can't, or soup, but it can't have any noodles or vegetables or anything in it. It has to be a strained soup. Gelatin, or commonly known as Jello. Tea or coffee, but they cannot have any cream or milk added to their tea or coffee. They can have sweetener in their coffee or tea, however. Sports drinks like Gatorade or Powerade are okay. They can add sugar or lemon to their hot tea, as long as the lemon doesn't have too much pulp to it, but no milk or cream. Now, when they progress to a full liquid diet is the same as a clear liquid diet, except it also adds things that are liquid at room temperature but may not be see-through. So that adds ice cream, strained cream soups. So they can't have chunks in them, but they can be cream soups. Tea, juice, jello, milkshakes, pudding, popsicles. You cannot eat solid foods when you're on a full liquid diet. So no mashed potatoes, no mashed foods. Most people on full liquid diet, the goal is for 1,350 to 1,500 calories, and 45 grams of protein a day. Full liquid diet may be right before medical tests or right after or before certain kinds of surgery. If a person has trouble chewing or swallowing, if they've had some kind of oral surgery or throat or surgery, they may be on a full liquid diet. Again, water, fruit juices, which can include nectars and juices with pulp on a full liquid diet. Ice cream, frozen yogurt. On a full liquid diet, you can have sherbet, which you cannot have on a clear liquid diet. Fruit ices, popsicles, sugar, honey, and syrups. Soups, strained cream soups, as long as they don't have solids in them. Sodas, Boost and Shore. Teas and coffees. No cheeses or fruits. No meats or cereals. No raw or cooked vegetables. No solids on your ice cream like nuts, chocolate chips, or pieces of cookie. It has to be just plain ice cream. And no mashed foods like mashed potatoes or avocados. So low-fat or low cholesterol diet, also called lipids, monosaturated fats, polysaturated fats, or saturated fats. Fat's a nutrient, as we talked about before, and you need some fat in your diet, but not too much. Not all fats are the same. You should try to avoid saturated fats such as butter, solid shortening, and lard. Trans fats, these are found in vegetable shortenings, margarines, crackers, cookies, snack foods, and other foods that are fried or partially hydrogenated oils. A person would be on a low cholesterol diet to reduce calories from fat and minimize cholesterol intake. They may have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. A low sodium diet or salt restriction. A person does need a certain amount of sodium to allow their body to work properly. However, too much sodium can be bad for a person. So they could have high blood pressure, and that could lead to heart failure. So they may have to limit their intake of sodium in order to be healthier. Dietary sodium, 2,300 milligrams a day is what the doctor may tell the person to limit to. For some people, it may be as low as 1,500 milligrams a day. They should stay away from foods that are high in salt, such as processed foods, cured or smoked meats, bacon, hot dogs, sausages, bologna, ham, salami, anchovies, olives, pickles. Anything that's pickled will have a lot of sodium. Soy and Worcestershire sauces, tomatoes, other vegetable juices, and most cheeses. A lot of salad dressings or mixes for salad dressings will have a lot of salt. Most processed foods will have a lot of salt. And of course, snack foods like chips, crackers, and other things like that are usually very salty, and they should stay away from those as well. Foods that list salt as one of their very first ingredients or at the top of their ingredients list, anyone on a low sodium diet should stay away from those because they probably have a lot of salt. They should be reading the labels on their foods, and a product with less than 100 milligrams of salt per serving is good. They should look for words like low sodium, sodium free, no salt added, sodium reduced, or unsalted on the labels, which would give them an indication that is a product that has lower salt. But they should also check the labels because sometimes those can be deceiving. They should check the labels for how much salt is in the food and how much is in each serving, because sometimes if the servings are smaller, it could be deceptive. Reducing sodium intake can lower blood pressure in people with high blood pressure or borderline high blood pressure. It can also prevent collection of fluid, which causes edema. And in chronic kidney disease, people have to control their sodium intake to prevent fluid volume overload, which can increase their blood pressure as well. So some foods to choose: whole grains, English muffins, bread, bagels, corn and flour tortillas, cereals, low salt, cooked cereals, not instant. Anything that's instant or pre-prepared is usually going to be higher in salt. Unsalted crackers or snack foods, unsalted peanut butter, pastas, rice, and potatoes. When you cook your pasta, just don't salt the water. Dried peas and beans without the seasoning packets if they come with a seasoning packet. Meats and proteins, fresh or frozen, and low sodium canned tuna or salmon. Fruits and vegetables, fresh or frozen, canned or fresh frozen vegetables without sauce. If they're eating canned vegetables, they want the without salt or low sodium. If they have to do canned vegetables, they should rinse them because that helps to get rid of some of the salt. But they should try to do fresh or frozen vegetables whenever possible. Dairy products, milk, cream, sour cream, yogurt, or low sodium cottage cheese. Fats and oils, like they should do the plant oils like olive, canola, corn, or peanut. And they should do unsalted butter or margarine. Soups, they should do salt-free or lower sodium if they're using things like bouillon cubes or unsalted broth, and homemade soups without salt added as much as possible because processed pre-prepared soups are very high in sodium. And when they're doing desserts, gelatin, sherbet, beverages, soft drinks can be very high in sodium, so they should be careful of those and try to do low sodium if they're doing things like tomato juice or fruit juice. Low salt or no salt ketchup and seasoning blends like Mrs. Dash that do not contain salt to season their food as well. They should be using those things to try to do things other than using table salt. Some foods they should avoid: anything that's processed is going to have a high sodium concentrate. Anything instant, boxed, self-rising, salted crackers, macaroni and cheese mixes, anything that's a mix, instant, seasoned, ham, bacon, salt pork, bacon grease, canned beans, salted, smoked, or canned meats, cured meats, anything with bacon or sausage, hot dogs, breaded frozen meats, fish or poultry, frozen dinners. Most of your pre-prepared foods are going to be very high in sodium. TV dinners, very high in sodium. Canned vegetables, vegetable juices, regular tomato sauce or tomato paste, olives, pickles, relish, frozen vegetables and butter or sauces, all very high in sodium. So anything that's pre-prepared is usually high in sodium, and they should avoid those things. So some dairy products like buttermilk, Dutch processed chocolate milk, cheese slices, cottage cheese, all those are high in sodium. Prepared salad dressings, salted butter, regular canned and prepared soups, all very high in sodium. Bouillons and broths, high in sodium. Packaged baked goods are very high in sodium. Carbonated beverages, regular tomato juice like V8, and are very high in sodium. And most condiments, even light salt, is still high in sodium. So it's very hard to do low sodium if you're eating a lot of pre-prepared foods. So they should be looking for those. The high fiber, high residue, again, that's for people who are having constipation. Increasing the fiber, things like wheat bran, increasing dietary fiber will help to get that laxative effect. This is the end of part 2.